Hey, hey, hey. Sorry, I was trying to share the live. If you guys ever get a share from me, I'm doing it for the algorithm. I'm not expecting anyone to come in and, hang out. I share it for the algorithm. And now I'm tapping to get the likes up. I think I have a filter on. Hold on. Let's see. No? Oh, that's what it was. I have makeup on. There we go. There we go. Turned it down. And there's still an inbuilt filter, so I don't want anyone to think that I look this good. If you're like, I won't recognize her in Walmart. No, you won't. Teeth are coffeed up. Hello, hello, hello. Why will it not let me like shit? What is happening? Hey, girlfriend. Okay, so we are going to do another Psychic Saturday. This is the 4th one. Please do the free likes. Please share. Please like, please share. All the things. Oh my God. There's this one video I've been watching and this woman says all the things all the time. Okay. Alrighty. Coffee everywhere. There we go. Alright, alright, alright. Hello, hello, hello. Let's see if Matan makes it on today. Oh, Matan. Thank you for the share, Kat. Thank you for the share, Miss Moon. Hey, Great Dane. Haven't seen you in a day or two. Heather Jo, Brittany, Erica, A. Bruni, Steph. Who am I missing? Appreciate you guys. So for anyone that doesn't know, we've been doing some free psychic, just education on Saturdays at noon. You can catch the first 3 Saturdays on YouTube, and this one will also be uploaded. And we'll be doing this for a little while, and I will be doing setting up a class if there's enough interest for the beginning of October. Hello, hello, hello. All right. Oh, we're already up to 1.7. You guys rock. Thank you. You guys are good at this. I just love my deck. I just love this deck of cards. I do. So any questions before we get started? It's just now 12:02 in Colorado, so I want to give people a chance to come in. Any questions about the tarot decks? I would appreciate it if you guys would just DM me on how to get them right now, because the TikTok shop, there's orders in there and I don't know how to get to them. Yes, absolutely. Please text me or DM me. In fact, just DM me and I'll send you my number so you can text me. There are currently orders in the TikTok shop and I have no way, I don't know how to get to them. I don't see where the money is. I don't see where the address is. I don't see who bought them. I'm completely confused. I may have to unhook it. I don't know who to reach out to. So if any of you know any of that stuff, let me know. All right. And also, Miss Moon, I think you know, but there are 2 different decks, so you'll just need to tell me which one you're interested in. It is 58 for the Western, 38 for the biker, or 85 for both, and that does include shipping. And this is the biker deck, biker themed, I should say. And then the Arcana of the Old West. And this was inspired by real people in the Old West. The Old West was incredibly diverse. So if you think you're just going to get a bunch of white people on cards, that is not what it is at all. 24 to 48 hours. What does that mean? Tara's trying to trip me up already this morning. She's like, I'll just throw this out there. 28 to 48 hours. If I don't find it, they're going to refund the people that bought it. Interesting. Well, that's kind of fucked up because I don't see, there's no way for me to get a hold of those people either. Ugh, frustrating. I agree, but I'm going to mute you. All right. There we go. All right. We are going to get started here. Is Matan here yet? He ordered his cards and we sent them we paid the extra money to get it there fast. And his cards got sent to Hawaii. So they're supposed to be delivered today. I was like, that is flipping ridiculous. And I was talking to the post office. I was like, so what do I do about that? And she's like, nothing really. In the fine print, it says it was supposed to be there the 13th, but they don't refund unless you pay for specifically 2 day. Oh no. Wait a minute. Let me see who this is. Yeah, this is Cambry, right? Cambry? Moon Mystic? Yeah. Oh. Yeah, wow. Well, we did know he was a piece of crap, didn't we? There's that. Okay. I think that's been going on, unfortunately, a lot longer than you probably realized also. Okay. We are going to get started here. It's 12:06. We'll give everybody a few more minutes. Hopefully you have your notebooks. Yeah. Exactly. All right. I'm still looking for Matan. Matan, are you here yet? Let me text him real fast. I'll be right. Oh, you know what, Tara? No, I'll text him. That's fine. We're in London. Wow. That's real fast. I'll be right. Oh, you know what, Tara? No, I'll text him. That's fine. We're in London. Wow. That's cool. Hey, medium well. That's crazy. Well, don't let him gaslight you. Yeah, well, that wasn't cheap. Yeah, don't let him gaslight you. That's insane what people who... Narcissists are weird, honestly. Yeah, he's full of shit, dude. Just be done, in my opinion. All right, you guys. I just texted Matan. Let me know when he gets here. Or, tell him when he gets here to let me know. Something like that. So, this is the 4th Saturday. We're talking about psychic ability. And we're talking about the fact that everyone technically is psychic because all psychic is... Let's try to find the... Oh, there it is. All psychic is your senses. Your senses on steroids. You're using your ability to see. My God. You're using your ability to see, to hear, to taste, to smell. You're using your temperature senses. You're using your ear pressure senses. You're literally, good morning. You're literally using everything that you already have inherent to you being human. So the first Saturday, again, YouTube is linked in my bio. The first 3 Saturdays are there if you need to know or want to know. It's Energy Reader MaryAnna at YouTube. So the first Saturday, what you'll find is we talked about the psychic ability we talked about the clairs. I personally don't call them all the fancy clair names. I can't hold it in my brain, okay? I refer to them as what they are. Seeing, smelling, hearing, tasting, empathy. All of those are our senses. We talked about word association. We talked about symbols. We talked about starting a journal. We talked about intuition versus sometimes it might be our biases or our fear that we end up kind of putting a screening process on our thoughts. The second Saturday, you'll find out we talked about opening and closing. You know, we should not be turned on all the time. We should be have an open and close sign in our brain. When we purposely and intentionally are trying to read someone's energy, we are open. So you can like turn that little sign around, make a little storefront in your imagination, and turn your sign around, turn the lights on. You're open for business. By the same token, we should not always be open for business, and so you need to close your sign. That could be closing your energy, that could be closing sacred space, that could be closing grounding, drinking water, drinking coffee, having a bite of chocolate, something to ground yourself. It could be as simple as walking outside with bare feet and just walking in the dirt or the grass or whatever you have. We did talk about sitting in the power, which is nothing more than meditation. Intentional meditation. So what does that mean? It means that you're sitting down to hang out. It means that you're sitting down to hang out with your spirit team, with spirit, with the universe, with God, intentionally. That means that you're sitting there in a listening state. You're in a receiving state for spirit, for the universe, for God. It doesn't mean you need to go in there with a shitload of questions, but it can mean, let's say I want to get better at my hearing senses. I want to get better at hearing information from the spirit world. Then you would sit and intentionally meditate on hearing from the spirit world, okay? Sensory exercises, we did that. We did pattern recognition, we talked about that. And we talked again about trauma versus intuition. Oh no, that is so funny. There we go. You lost your phone.
I pulled a U and I lost my phone under my blanket putting my bed together.
Oh my God, that is funny. I'm just going back over what the first 3 Saturdays are on YouTube, and I did tell him your cards ended up in Hawaii.
So bizarre.
So annoying. And so we talked about, okay, so then on the third Saturday, we did talk a little bit about how information does come through to us. Now, you will hear me say the same shit over and over, and repetition and repetition and repetition. So why would that be? Because literally, and I don't want to say this isn't hard, but it's practice. It's just practice. Once you start getting information, I don't want to say like, oh, it's so easy, but it's not hard. So there's somewhere in the middle of that. And it's practice and it's practice and it's doing the same thing over and over and over. So how information comes through. We did talk a little bit about first person versus third person reading styles. So for example, if I'm going to do a mediumship reading for Matan right now, very often I do first person. I kind of become, I feel like does that make sense? I'm not explaining that one very well. We talked a little bit about finding the story. We talked about validation, and we talked about evidence. And what is the difference between asking questions versus actual providing evidential information. So if you guys watch the medium, Sylvester, does he have another name, Matan, or is it just Sylvester? Matan left the room. So there's a medium on here. He's a black guy with a...
Yes, that's his name. That's his name, Sylvester.
Yeah, that's just his whole thing, right? It's not like... Okay. So he's a black guy with glasses. He wears ball caps and he has a fancy mustache. He presents information the way that it should be presented. I don't think I've ever heard him ask a sitter a question. He's definitely not doing the, I see a 23. It could be a month or a year. It could be your bra size or your underwear. It could be the day of the week, or you know what I mean? I call that like multi-choice mediumship. And then you have the other one that is just completely fishing mediumship. So, but we're still doing psychic. Hey guys. We're still doing psychic, so we'll stay over there. We'll stay on that side of the train tracks here. So this Saturday is about discernment. Okay, so what the hell, where the hell, and what the hell is discernment, right? So where the information comes from. So there's a lot of people who already know mediumship that never learned psychic ability on this app because they didn't really, I guess there's kind of an old-fashioned way of coming up, right? And the old-fashioned way of coming up was that you will learn to be psychic and then you will learn to be a medium. And there's a lot of people on here. So you can't, so those people that say that you, let's see, what do they say? All psychics aren't mediums, but all mediums are psychics. I have found that to be untrue because I will talk to a medium or something and I'll be like, it feels kind of like psychic info. And they're like, well, what do you mean? And they don't know it and they don't understand it. Also, your mediumship just flat will be better if you are also psychic. It just can't talk me out of that one. So discernment is about where the information is actually coming from. Is it coming from a passed over relative? Is it coming from someone that's alive? Is it coming psychically? Is it coming from a past animal or an alive animal? Is it coming from the universe? Is it coming from your spirit guide? Like, where the hell is this shit coming from, right? Sometimes you won't know, and that's part of your discernment also. And then you'll say, I'm not sure where this particular piece of info is actually coming from. But here's what I think, or here's what they're giving me. All right. So today, I have my notes, of course. We're talking about, it's kind of the least exciting part of psychic development, right? It's the part where you actually have to do the work. You actually have to get the information, then you have to get the sitter to validate it as evidential. Does that make sense? Jump in anytime, Matan.
No, so far I'm on board with what you're saying, so nothing to comment yet.
So because of that, it's probably the least exciting part, except that, okay, here's where I was going. You have to make mistakes. You will have to make mistakes. You'll have to make mistakes with your tarot cards. You'll have to make mistakes with your animal communication, and you will have to make mistakes with any psychic or mediumship. And why would you have to make a mistake? That seems like a stupid thing to say, right? Well, if you are an Olympic skier, you didn't get there by never falling down. If you are an Olympic diver, you didn't get that way by not belly flopping once or twice. You know what I mean? Because you need to know what mistakes feel like. You need to know what incorrect information feels like. You need to know when you get a piece of information and the person says, they'll say something along the lines of, that doesn't fit. And then you need to know that you can take that with you and either they're gonna validate it later or it was meant for someone else. There's a couple of times that I have been doing readings where people are kind of back to back on the schedule and something will come in and it turns out, that got distracted. It turns out that the information was for the next reading. And that's always been interesting. So there was this one time, I want to say it was a cat. And anyways, I ended up doing this reading for this one person. She recommends her friend. Her friend comes in and says, do you happen to remember this reading? I said, I do. She goes, do you happen to remember? No, it wasn't a cat. It was a golden retriever. Do you happen to remember a golden retriever? I said, yeah, but we couldn't place it. She goes, that's because it was mine. So like her dog was talking to the dog that I was talking to, and we just could not place this golden retriever. Well, that sitter finally realized it was her friend's golden retriever. She's like, oh my gosh, you have to book with this gal. So then anyways, her dog finagled a reading.
And this is why I think it's so important, again, not just throwing around things about like teaching here, but being taught how to understand your energy versus the energy around you versus the energy through interpretation is so important, and why you cannot just skip psychic work and get into all of it because of that. Because how would you be able to discern that situation fully without this kind of understanding of the energy between that, and why you're psychically getting the third party connection psychically through that? That's why it builds on each other.
There's also another little caveat to that too, because it used to be when I was in classes and in circles and stuff like that, spirit is intelligent. That is what we have been taught. That is what we understand. It's what I believe. And what happens is spirit will sometimes come to you because you either know how to get to someone else or the sitter knows how to get to someone else. And that's what always irritated me too about this bullshit about third-party readings, because in a mediumship reading, you can legitimately, okay, here's an example. There was a medium, there was a sitter, and the sitter had a neighbor, and that neighbor had lost their child, okay? Now, the spirit world was trying to get a message to his mother through the neighbor, okay? And this woman said, I went and told my neighbor XYZ, and it was really healing. Sometimes that person will also book. I believe that person did, if I'm remembering right. But this is just a compilation example anyways. That is a third-party reading. You just gave information to someone who is not in that reading. So that's why I get frustrated when people say that third-party readings. There was another example from a gal that supposedly she has a sitter, which is the wife, okay? She starts reading the wife's husband's grandmother, okay? And then she exposes a family secret that the wife had to go to the mother-in-law to validate because the husband didn't even know. That's a third-party reading. That's a third-party reading. So the fact that people get on here and they're like, oh, it's so unethical and blah, 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 blah. You're doing it in mediumship all the fucking time. So I don't see a problem with that personally.
But with that logic, then you could say technically every time you walk around in public, you're psychically doing readings because you feel someone's inner energy and you have to discern whether you want to interact with that energy or not. If you go to the grocery store and you show up to the checkout line or whatever, or even the self-checkout, and the person there who's working there is kind of an a-hole, right? You're going to read that energy and be like, I'm not going to be interacting with that. I'm just going to close my energy down and be like, hello, and then get to what you're doing. Or you just interact less, right? So you're always psychically pinging on energy, regardless whether even in your own home. I am constantly, especially with people who have pets, I am constantly pinging into my dog's energy about whether, one of them needs to go to the bathroom. One of them who just got surgery, I was pinging on his energy about how he was feeling. Like, you're always absorbing energy, right, no matter where you go. And that's why your discernment of being able to, one, do the dial up and down, like you teach, having that ability to know when to discern, when to turn that, dial down a little bit versus not. Or when people say before you go into a public place, put your white light around you. That is energy. You're psychically pinging in all the time. So this idea that we're just not doing this, I'm just going to walk in as a human being and just not have these reactions. Even people who aren't developed or awakened or whatever terms you want to use, which I don't really love that term, but whatever. Yeah. That's the reality of the world we live in. We live in a very energetic world. So to just act like it doesn't exist is bizarre to me. This only seems to be, computable through just one source of understanding. It can't be brought into a everyday life experience. It's very concerning to me.
I like that. And I also think that constantly telling people, oh, that isn't ethical is more of a grandstanding. It's more performative. They're trying to make sure that everyone knows that they're the best one out there because they would never do this. Now, there's a big difference between, my daughter's been estranged for 20 years. I want to know how her marriage is. Okay, I'm not going to read on that, but that's common fucking sense. That's just common sense, right? Now, my daughter lives with me and she's seeing someone. I would like to know if that person feels safe. I would read that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's a case by case.
Correct, but it also does go down to the kind of basic understanding of primal safety.
Well, yeah.
Right? If I'm with my younger cousin who, at the time, who was a kid, and I'm walking around and I see a person that I think is uncomfortable and weird to me, and I'm picking that energy, I'm like, that makes me feel weird, right? My discernment's going off. I'm going to pull my cousin into the other store and go and avoid that dynamic or that person. That's everyday. That is the everyday existence of, to me, where discernment and your neural pathways and your nervous system are aligned, and it's all connected because I'm having a reaction because whether I'm consciously or not unconsciously pinging into that energy that I don't really like, or my energy field's picking up on it. My nervous system is giving a reaction. It's going down my back. I'm thinking, okay, well, that's kind of weird. So then I use my discernment to understand and analyze the situation and make a decision.
Yeah. And Cher said, so sometimes she said, I'll get closer to the person to see if my discernment is right. And that is what we were saying as an exercise also, Cher. Absolutely. So it's a it's always going to be a case by case thing. It's like when you get that chill and you take a left instead of a right. It's the burnt toast theory.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
This whole, I don't know who started this whole burnt toast thing, but spiritual people have been saying that forever. Basically, if you burn your toast and you're running late, or if you're about to run out of gas, so you have to stop for gas and you're running late, something else, you may have just avoided an accident. You may have avoided something. Yeah. No, I totally get that. Absolutely. So it's funny because, that was the next thing, is that we're receiving information constantly, which is what Matan just said. We are legitimately, just even if you don't have an open and closed sign, even if you've never even heard the word psychic, you're constantly getting information from people, from the weather, from the animals, from nature, from your car. And the skill is learning to recognize it and interpret it. So there's a fine line with interpreting, because sometimes you legitimately just have to give someone the information. I know there was one time I was doing an in-person psychic thing up in Denver, and I was like, okay, I have nowhere to put this random piece of information. It doesn't fit the story right at the moment. I said, listen, I have Minnie and Mickey Mouse, and I don't know where to place this because we were doing something completely different. She's like, oh my God. And it meant something to her. So I do think that the story is important, but you're not always going to be able to fit every piece of information into the story. So sometimes you just give it and they understand it. Now, I didn't say, what does Mickey Mouse mean to you? What does Minnie Mouse mean to you? I said, I'm getting Minnie Mouse and Mickey Mouse. Does that mean anything? Or would you understand that? Whatever. There's a fine line in how you present the information. I'm not saying you're never, ever, ever, ever going to ask, like, does that mean something to you? But for the most part, you should be giving them the information. Miss Moon said, I had a bird hit my windshield and it made me stop and look at what I was doing, and I turned around and went home. Okay. I've actually done that as well. I've actually forgot my keys, tripped on the way out the door. I don't know. I'm pulling it out of my butt at the moment, but that's the kind of vibe, right? Got to the mailbox and something happened, and, got down the road. I'm like, you know what? Let's go back home. Let's go back to fucking bed. All right. So here's what I want to talk about is I kind of call this the 6 imposters. Okay. So you can call them anything you want to. Everybody always has cute terms. I know I was kind of listening to Jonathan Lewis, because I actually like Jonathan Lewis, but I think he's getting caught up in some of this mediumship, which is super hard not to do on this stupid app, because been there, done that, right? None of this information is new. None of this information. If Matan goes and does a video tomorrow about the 6 imposters, it wasn't new to me. I got it from somewhere. He got it from somewhere. So we're going to be repeating the same information. There's only so much fucking information that exists, right? So I used to think too that people were taking my information when I first got here, back in the day. And then I realized that's their problem, because I can come up with my own shit on my own. And if they have to copy me, that's not a me problem. That's going to backfire. That will absolutely backfire. And it didn't belong to me in the first place. Does that make sense to everyone? All these books are out there. I'm standing on the shoulders of people that came before me. All of this shit isn't new to me. I didn't make it up. I just have a different way of teaching it. So consistently putting fear before a reading, or living for that matter. So what do I mean by that? If you're consistently worried about fucking demons, excuse my language, by the way, this is going on YouTube. I always forget there's 2 different audiences, you know what I mean? If you're consistently worried about demons or bad energy or bad mojo or hurting someone's feelings, or if you're constantly putting fear in front of what you're doing, it will backfire. It just, there's no other way to say that. If you're worried about getting bad energy, what are you going to get? What are you currently manifesting? Fear. You're going to get Oh, excuse me. That was a coffee burp. You guys, whoops. You're going to get bad energy if you're consistently fearful of bad energy. Do you have anything to say about fear before we go to the next one?
Not really. I mean, it's basically what you said. You hang around the coffee shop enough, you're going to get coffee.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. Yeah. The next one is interesting because we kind of talked about this, I think the first Saturday possibly, but desire and wanting something really super bad. There is a way that when you're reading, you end up reading their desire, their want, or their fear. So technically that could apply to both. So I remember reading for this one gal one time, and she said she had asked what her partner was like. He was her husband. And I said, oh, good guy. He was this, he was that. And she got in touch with me later and she goes, that was completely opposite of what he actually is. He's a narcissistic, lying, pathological, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, that is wild. And I'm sorry. Number one, we can be wrong. But what I feel like I read was that was what his desire to be perceived as. Does that make sense? So
Right.
he kept putting on a show, and I read the show as opposed to the reality. And so sometimes when we're reading, we have to be, and that falls into discernment. You have to be like, am I reading her fear? Am I reading what she really wants? Or am I reading the situation? And you have to kind of just metaphorically or imagination wise, you have to separate those two. I did a shaman thing one weekend with that Jerry Duran up in Salida that I tell you guys about. And I don't know how I've never thought about this, but imagine nation. Now put imagine and then put nation. You're going to the imagine nation. You're using your imagination. And that came from Jerry Duran. That did not come from me.
That's good. I always
love
say
that. I've thought about it that way ever since. Ever since. You're going to your imagination.
yeah, that's great. No, I really like that.
I do too. I've never seen you in a ball cap, by the way. All right.
It was atrocious. I always tell my students and people, and I've actually never told you that I say this to people, but I say that the spiritual world is 95% fact and 5 to 10% imagination.
There you go.
Because there has to be some level of that, and I don't know how to say it. I was like that in play that comes into the dynamic of it. It's interesting that you said the imagination thing. I just like that's fabulous.
Yeah, well, that was Jerry's, but I loved it too. And she probably got it from someone else. You know what I mean? Again, information is not something that we get to claim as our own. Information is universal, right? It's literally like ding, 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 ding. It's constantly circulating around us, and we kind of pull it down from the universe, or we pull it out of a book, or we have conversations and we're like, oh, never thought of it that way. But it's not something that's inherent to just me. Does that make sense to everybody? And you kind of have to think of it that way. Oh, thank you, Cheryl. You kind of have to think of it that way, because otherwise you start becoming like controlling over information. Like you start to try to like almost parentify certain information. Like that was mine. I came up with that, and not really. Not really.
I love that you said parentify that. That's brilliant.
Nice. I love that. And see, okay, so now maybe he remembers that a week or two from now. Does that mean he's stealing it from me? Or does that mean we just had a conversation and he liked something I said? Does that make sense, everybody?
I mean, the reality is my grandma used to say, no matter what you call it, it's still a fart.
That's so funny. And I fully do agree and understand that some people...
Oh my gosh, just guess what's in the mail.
Go to the mail.
Just grab the mail. That's why I'm literally not on camera. Okay. Oh my God, this is going to be so good. Okay, we're going to do this. My God, I'm so excited.
You absolutely have to.
Keep talking while I go into the house.
Okay. So, now I do understand that some people on this app absolutely word for word steal content. I get it. There's never going to be a day that you're going to stop it, so don't let it drag your energy down. All right, number 3, projection. She's jealous of me. He's wants me. She doesn't like me. projection is something that we have to be very careful not to read through, okay? So let's say you get a toothless, homeless person and you're giving them a reading. Number one, your biases or your projection may think that this person doesn't need a reading because they're at rock bottom. And that would be, in my opinion, that would be completely bass-ackwards. This person probably needs a reading more than anyone you've ever met, because they're so beaten down and because they're so at rock bottom. Your cheerleading and your ability to not project their outer shell onto their soul is a very important part of you as a reader. Does that make sense? Did I make sense?
Yes, complete sense. We have a term called transference and countertransference in clinical work, right? Not only do you have to make sure that you don't read the projection of that, but also that you're not reading your interpretation of that projection.
Yeah. Yep. All of that. All right. So for anyone that just got here, this is the 4th Saturday. These are Psychic Saturdays. They start at 12 noon. You can find the reruns or replays or whatever you like to call them. They are on Saturday. They are on YouTube. And they're called Psychic Saturdays 1, 2, 3, and 4. You can watch the replays there. Okay, we were just talking about so for anyone who doesn't know, that's the tarot deck that I created, that he's just now getting. So the next one is pattern recognition. So we do absolutely read through pattern recognition, but we also have to be aware that just because we recognize something, for cheaters, all right? When you're doing a love reading for someone and someone says, is so-and-so cheating, your pattern recognition immediately kicks in and you're like, if you have to ask, or you're coming through your own fear and biases and trauma and you're like, of course they're cheating, right? Don't do that. Try to leave. There is a certain amount of pattern recognition, of course, but don't read through it every single time, right? Let the cards talk to you. Let spirit talk to you. Let psychicness talk to you. Let whatever, right? Let the information come to you without trying to put it through this constant screening process. All right, let me get through these, Matan, and then we'll open the cards. So memory and association. Something reminds you of something else. This is how I get a lot of my information. However, again, if someone says something that triggers you, so one of the things I was teaching in class is that you have to know your triggers. You have to, so for example, if you have ever been raped, and you're bringing through somebody's dead loved one, or you're giving a psychic reading, and suddenly that comes up, if that's a trigger for you, if this is going to hurt your feelings, if you're going to cry, if you're going to be sad, hold on, Matan.
Open it all the way. I just took it out of the thing.
Then you may end up reading their information through your trigger. Because you have this memory, because this memory triggers you, if you're reading for someone and it's about grape and maybe it's an uncle or something like that, you may give incorrect information by processing that through your trigger. So triggers are very, very important. Have you ever had I don't know what we can say on here. Have you ever purposely ended a baby from coming into the world? That may end up being a trigger for you. So what happens if you're doing a psychic reading or a mediumship reading and this person has intentionally stopped something, a baby from coming to fruition? So this is where you journal. This is where you say, here are my triggers. Now, what am I going to do if those triggers come up? Now, you still have sovereignty and authority over what you read. So let's say you don't want to read about abortion. Then you would say, I don't read about abortion. It's that simple. You don't have to qualify it. You don't have to explain your trigger. You don't have to say anything other than, here's what I don't read. I don't read death. And I don't read, abortion or health, maybe even. A lot of people don't read health. I do. I think it's fun. Right. But those are your triggers. But if you don't know your triggers, you're going to end up fucked up.
Okay, now I'm going to go on a whole rampage about this while you smile on the floor. So, first thing about triggers is if you are, we're gonna use the same example. If you're triggered by grape because you were essayed, whatever. First part, it can influence the way you read and interpret, just like MaryAnna said, which I agree. The second thing is you can be wrong about the need to talk about certain subjects. For example, I had one of the best lessons I learned is I was working in crisis unit. And I was working with this patient. She was at a 2-bed psychiatric house unit, whatever. I was talking to her about our in process group, and I kept on and I tried to take her through her trauma of being sexually aid, right? Because I forget we can't see certain things.
I know.
He turned to me and said, I'm healed and worked through that grape experience. Why do you feel like your interaction or your interpretation of my trauma is known more by you than me?
Oh, I love that.
And I had a whole moment and I said, sometimes just because I'm a clinician and I want to talk about, or someone wants to talk about, or you think that psychically you need to bring this subject up, you need to be mindful that like your biases, because you went through it too and you're trying to still we call it parallel processing, can affect the reading because that person might actually be okay and worked through that trauma and they don't need to bring it back up.
I love that.
Because of your trauma that is unfiltered and unprocessed and dealt with, is going to put bias into that experience because you might unconsciously be trying to reprocess it through the person that you're reading psychically or mediumship wise. And that's why it's really important to journal, to really make sure that you're at a foundational level where you can really check in with yourself and see, can I actually talk about this topic and not be triggered and not have a reaction?
I love, dude. That's even in friendship. That's even in parent-child friendship. That runs. So you need to check in. Yeah,
absolutely. And this is also why I always say to people, if you're learning how to develop into doing this work, if there are certain topics that you know are triggering. This sounds kind of weird to say it this way, but just follow me here. Do practice reads with friends of yours that you know have gone through that. So if it comes up, you can be like, hey, this is coming up. I'm getting triggered. And it doesn't have to be done by a person you don't know, whether you're publicly on TikTok or in a private. So you know what it feels like to be triggered in a safe environment. Because I see a lot of people who are new to this game of reading, whatever. And they have all these things. And sometimes we don't even know a trigger is a trigger until it comes up. And you have to be able to know, okay, how to de-escalate yourself in that moment. Also possibly de-escalate the sitter in that moment. And we also need to be like we need to realize that we can refer out. I know that there's this whole thing going around on TikTok now where there's like competition and we get that. Competition is part of life. But in my opinion, for me as a reader, I will never sacrifice a person's health at the bequest of me being popular or getting the money or getting the reading. I will refer instantly out if I don't think I'm capable of handling stuff. And I would say I have a pretty high level of what I can tolerate. But other people don't know that. And you have to build those steps and loopholes of getting out.
A lot of people who are not developed will try to do everything under the sun. Correct. No, I can do this and I can do that and I can do this and I can read about this and I can read about that. If you were essayed by your grandpa and you end up in a mediumship reading or psychic reading where the person has also been essayed by their grandpa and you start getting visuals, that may set some shit off, right? And so one of the things we did in class is, now if we were in class, I would ask, does anybody care to share, right? Is there something that you can think of that, hey, Cammie, is there something that you can think of that would be a trigger to you that you may hear from someone else in a reading? Essay, grape, child loss. There was one person, you remember Stacy, she had lost a child in life. And so this may be something that would be very difficult for her to read at first because she would also feel the emotions again of losing a child. And so she had to physically work through that, mentally work through that, because there's physical reactions, there's mental reactions, there's emotional reactions. So, okay, perfect, Heather. Thank you for sharing that. Heather said that she found that domestic violence coming through was a bit of a trigger for her. And so that's something that she will have to emotionally, you know what I mean? Cheryl, that's a super good point too. Cheryl said, I didn't even know I had trauma.
I'm so glad Cheryl said that. I'm so glad, because people have overcomplicated. Well, no, I want to say it that way. People have made it difficult to understand the dynamics of trauma. I don't want to say overcomplicate things, because trauma is complicated. I won't take that away from that. Yeah. But like, people don't really know the ins and outs, to the point where like I've told our students, like, do a little bit of minor research, or I can send you something about just like general like ways to know when someone might be, you know, having a reaction to a trauma trigger or whatever, just so they know that if it happens, they, you know, they can disengage the reading and be like, thank you, like, we're gonna end, you know, whatever. But people sometimes don't even know.
I'll refer you to someone else. I'm having a reaction that I didn't expect right now.
I mean, people don't realize that the brain is such a complicated tool that it can, in my opinion, people can have trauma experiences from a certain time in their life where it completely was disclosed and cut off from memory, right? You don't know that sometimes your brain does it a way to protect you that you don't even know that you have the trauma.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it is so complex. Trauma is such a complex topic.
Yeah, she said, I had a reading in class with a child loss. I had never had that, but I felt her pain was talked through. Well, for example, the other day when I did a reading for a woman who had lost her dog, and it was a private reading on Zoom. Or no, I'm sorry. It was an animal reading on here. It was Thursday night. Anyway, it came through so emotionally that immediately I had tears. And immediately, I wouldn't say, I mean, I guess it's a trigger, but sometimes we're so empathetic that the emotion kind of attacks you before you even have a chance to respond. And I had to do this, but then I think doing this is rude, but then I don't want to be sitting here like, you know.
No, I think there's a difference between having an emotional reaction because the energy and you're an empathetic person versus being traumatized. And let me give a great example. There's a girl here on TikTok. Her name is, she talks about it openly. I read her on live. Her name is Jenna. She lost her husband. Her husband was the most loving, caring soul, wonderful, wonderful husband, loved his kids. As you know, I also lost someone, right, in the very similar dynamic. And my person has been passed for almost 10 years now. It's been a long time. But there's the energy of love that her husband brought to her that brought me back to what I felt to be loved by someone in that dynamic. And I just lost it because I felt the love of him to the point where I was like, I'm so sorry that this, like, I should post it, but I was physically I was crying to where people in the comments were like, we've never seen you cry like this during a reading. And part of me knew it wasn't my energy. It was the eclipsing of that whole experience. And like, Jenna understood it. Thankfully the sitter understood why I was crying or whatever, or emotional. I wasn't crying, but like you could see the tears, right? Yeah. I think but I was able to be like, hey, hold on, I need a moment. I took a moment. I explained to everybody why I was having the reaction. And then we continued, right? That's having a human experience of empathy and love for a sitter. And right, versus like being like crying to a point where I like cannot stop myself and I'm like dissociating, right? There's a big difference. And you being empathetic because you've been through something, because I know the way you love animals and your experiences with your children, I call them children, like to me, especially in your dynamic with yours, like it would be more strange to me if you were robotic and didn't have an emotional reaction because you felt the energy and the love of this woman's baby that you have also shared with yours. That to me makes you a good reader. It's about the line of, when does an emotional reaction out of empathy and an energy connection becomes a point where it becomes about the reader, no longer the sitter?
I like that distinction. It needs
right? And I don't think you doing that does that.
Yeah, no, I like that distinction. And plus, your recovery time, right? So you have to have an emotional recovery time, and you have to do it in the moment. It's not like you can walk away from the reading and come back 10 minutes later. Yes, I have absolutely had my breath taken away, Cheryl. She said it takes your breath away. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I like the way you put that. And I teach that in class as well. And so if you guys were in class, you would have a handout and we would be going over it kind of point by point. But there is an emotional recovery aspect to being a reader that you have. Don't you open those cards. Don't you open.
No, I'm getting coffee.
Okay. I want to see his reaction. That's why I'm saying that. So anyways, there is an emotional recovery aspect to when you do get triggered or when you do have an emotional reaction such as that. And then the last thing for the 6 imposters that you don't want to read through, right, is your intuition. Now, yes, you were reading through your intuition, but sometimes your intuition will for example, everybody says, oh, your intuition is never wrong. Your intuition is wrong all the time. Otherwise, you'd be able to go down and buy a ticket for the lottery and win, right? Well, my intuition says 5 and 15 and 24. And so sometimes your intuition is wrong. So yes, we're reading through our intuition, but we don't want to put our personal intuition onto a subject, which is kind of the same as fear, kind of the same as projection. Honestly, if you broke these down, all of these kind of fit into the same box, but let's go over them really fast again. So fear, you don't want to put fear onto a reading, your fears or their fears for that matter. And you don't want to just read the fear part of the question. Desire, I know he's coming back. How many times have you seen on here when somebody goes to do a love reading and they really want someone back and you're reading and you get the Tower? So if you get the Tower, let's say, or let's say you get death because it's on the top of the deck. Let's say you get death and they're like, I really want him back. I really want him back. And the first card you throw down is, this is the end of this cycle. You guys have been dysfunctional long enough. It's over. You need to accept it. It is a death of sorts and you need to move on with your life. You are literally dodging a bullet at the moment and you need to move on. So instead of giving them, so they want the relationship and you have to be willing to tell them it's an unhealthy relationship. You can't read through their desire. You can't read through your desire. Does that make, hopefully that makes sense to everybody. Then we talked about projection. Then we talked about pattern recognition, memory or your associations. Most of the time you will get information through memory and association, but it's really a fine point difference and you have to have some mistakes until you understand it. You know what I mean? And then we talked about the intuition. You will make mistakes. You are meant to make mistakes. You will make mistakes. You will get told no. You need to be told no from time to time. You need to remember that just because you do this doesn't mean you're always right, period. But also you need to feel mistakes because you need to know what they feel like. All right. All right, you want to open your cards or should we go on?
Downstairs. I have to go back upstairs, but yes, I'm ready to do this. There's not enough coffee in the world. Why is this? Oh my god, hold on. Sorry, there's just something that I saw that annoyed me, but I'm not going to bring it up because we're doing this for the YouTube. And I don't want to go on a rant about stupid things. Okay, we're walking upstairs.
Cheryl said, open, open, open. You remember that, Cheryl? It was Mervin's in California. Open, open, open. It would be. It was their.
I can't believe you just said Merv. That's crazy. I've heard that in years.
Do you remember that? Well, I don't remember whatever happened to them.
They got bought out by Gottschalks.
Oh, did they?
Mm-hmm.
You remember Mervin's too, Signe? Isn't that funny? Open, open, open. Now, what just happened? She said, open, open, open. My mind just went to Mervin's. Now I'm back in California. When you're reading, that kind of shit happens all the time. All the time. They had one in San Jose. Very cool. And that's legitimately how our minds work. Okay.
Here's my main box that took God knows how forever. Look at her cute little box. Oh no, it doesn't have an address. Look at her beautiful handwriting. You don't tell people about how pretty your handwriting is.
Oh, thank you. Well,
Okay.
I actually write cursive, so all the millennials can't read it.
I can read this. Thank you for your love and support with love. I can read cursive. I can
Okay.
also write in cursive.
Gen Z. Maybe I'm thinking of Gen
You're
Z.
Gen Z. Yeah. Oh my God, you guys. is so exciting, everybody. You have no idea. The box. Wow. You guys, I'm telling you, this is that's nice.
Yeah.
You guys, I like a good banging box. You guys, I love that it has your thing on buy at the bottom. Wow, you guys.
How about the finish? Do you like the finish?
She ain't joking. I love that they're on the back of. This is unique. I've never seen a person do this with a deck where they put the cards on the back. Nice.
And I did it that way because that's the first thing I look at on a deck of cards. I want to see examples.
Fabulous. And she puts a nice little number of how many.
Show the info card.
Wow, look at the cute little info card, you guys. This is your deck now. The guidance offers context, suggested meanings, but how the cards speak to you is what matters most. Nice. Many cards follow traditional tarot structure while drawing away from the overlooked histories and real people of the American West. Read what you see, trust your notice. Oh, trust what you noticed. Love that you said that. Love this. Edition 13 out of 300. That's so exciting. Wow, that's nice. Good stock. Okay. You guys, this is not, I'm telling you, this does not do justice when you look at that beautiful.
I know, I look like a goober. I'm like a little kid over here just smiling.
Look at this beautiful finish. You guys, I'm telling you, online does not do the justice. I mean, it's nice online, but it's really nice.
I love that. Crystal got hers already too.
Great quality. That's great quality. Let me see, compared to my other one that I use. This is the one I have. This is thinner than yours, which is this is nice. This is thinner. This, you can feel it. And the side really fabulous.
Hey, okay. Shay got that. I don't know if you were on with me when we read for Shay, but she got the server job and she starts Tuesday.
Fabulous. All right, let's shuffle. You guys, the colors, I'm telling you, when the TikTok filter online really doesn't show the shadowing of this color, like this card. You can't really tell. But in this, you see there's a shadow, but the shadow goes all the way a little bit into her, which shows that she has the balance of light and dark.
Ooh, I love that. I hadn't even thought about
that. You know me, I look at every single detail.
Yeah.
All right, let's see.
Go like this. How do you like the matte finish?
I like the matte finish better. I think it's so much better.
I love the matte finish. That's like the biggest deal to me.
Yeah, see, I love the see, now that I'm looking at it, this is my favorite one. The unconventional.
Oh, and traditional, yeah. And non-traditional.
Yeah, I really like it.
I'm also working on the guidebook right now.
I'll be honest, people, I don't give a fuck about the guidebooks. Wow, and they slide nicely. Sometimes new decks, they stick. This does not stick. I have decks that I won't even pick up because the gloss makes it so hard to pull apart, like this one. Hold on, let's show a comparison. Okay, so this is another deck that I've used for years that I've loved because it's but the gloss makes it very hard to pull apart, right?
I have a deck like that. I never use it.
Smooth. This is see, look, it's smooth, right? This is
I like the way you do that, yeah.
See how this is sticky? I really have to push to get it separated. And as a riffle shuffler, I don't like this. Because because it makes it harder to pull apart. That's his comment.
Give me the first card. I want to see if it's resonate with you.
What do you mean? Give you the first card of the deck that shows?
Well, that would have been the Fool.
The Fool. I also like the Fool. So the Fool is this one. I really like it, actually.
New beginnings. Optimism.
And the reason why I like that you added the donkey is because even in our foolish moments or our moments of inspiration, we can be a little bit, stupid and blindsided about it.
Yeah, he's about to walk off the cliff. Is he going to take that guy with him?
Oh, you didn't. This is one of the additive cards. The Witness.
Yes.
Love. Oh, can I show that?
Yeah. Go ahead.
I love this.
Yes.
This is incredible.
And that's what I meant by the guidebook, because I have extra cards in there. And it was actually inspired by an actual person who was documenting the Old West, and there was a lot of people that did.
The fox spirit. I love the raccoon spirit. Oh my, you guys, I'm telling you that
I love it.
she killed it. She did really, really well. This horse spirit looks like the horse that I read for you. Remember in our first
It
class?
is. It is. That was Blackjack. That was inspired by Blackjack. Yeah.
Oh my god,
And
the
then
outlaw looks like your son.
oh, I love that. Yeah.
I mean, you guys, the TikTok filter really. I mean, these are very vibrant cards. Like, I'm not saying that they weren't like vibrant on the thing, but like, you can really see the color in her dress.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, this is I just
It doesn't come through as good on like
on
video.
the video. Yeah, no, like the oh, I love the Page of Pentacles. I love the so like this one. Okay, I can show stuff, right? I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
yeah,
Cool.
absolutely.
I love this because the Page of Pentacles is about new opportunity, financial, and but it's also about keeping hope that things will move. But always remember, the pan can always be empty. So where you choose to put your hope matters. Where do
Oh,
you
I love it.
deposit it?
Before you put it down, look at the Knight of Pentacles.
Okay, hold on. Let me put this in. Okay, 9.
Knight.
Oh, Knight. Hold on. 10. Hold on. Let me find it.
It should have been right above the page.
No. Oh, my dumbass. Hold on. Wrong side. Okay, yes. Oh, and they're
But that's her grown up.
fabulous. Oh, I didn't even make that connect. Oh my god, that's fabulous.
So this
Fabulous.
is it's called kind of like a callback, right? When you do comedy and stuff like that, there's a callback. So in the biker deck, the callback is that there's the Fool, and then he turns into the Four of Wands. You know, the Fool is rose-colored glasses, restarting, being optimistic, and then he turns into the Four of Wands where he gets married, life gets better. You know, so there's several callbacks in both decks.
Your cards connect. I'm telling for me, for people
Right.
who want to know about psychism and cards, I need to see a story, not just through the whole deck, but I need to see a story between each suit. And this does it because you have the page, you have the girl discovering the wealth, putting in the deposit becomes fruitful. What is she going to do with her fruitful, a reward? She's going to become a silent investor in this woman, and she's the rabbit sitting in the corner.
Love it.
You see how that builds a story to me? That is important because that makes when we talked about last week about the formatting of a reading, you want to try to follow a format loosely to keep you kind of consistent. That's what this does.
Yeah.
Because it helped me jump from how I put the cards down and I see them and go, okay, this, and this goes together. And then you have the King of Pentacles. Well, who is the original owner of land and wealth? It just when you get to a place of such money, wealth, you go back to the traditional dynamics of money and wealth of the world, which the natives, indigenous people have always understood.
Also for him, which is going to be in the guidebook, he was first a Comanche, right? So his mother was Cynthia Ann Parker, who was a white woman who had actually been captured by I think she was sold to the Comanches. I'll have to get back into that. Yeah. She was captured by one group, and then I believe sold into a different group. Regardless, his mother was white, and his father was a Chief Nakona. He ends up as a Comanche, grows up as a Comanche. Then, as the lands start to be invaded, basically, he turns into Comanchero. Now he is a warrior against people invading his lands. Then, when unfortunately that doesn't work out, he turns into a negotiator for his people, and he ends up going to Washington. So he has multiple lives within one life. He tucked and rolled. So when you get the King of Pentacles, he's incredibly experienced, he's incredibly knowledgeable, he's incredibly wise. He is the kind of person that you want in a relationship. So if that's a relationship reading and you pull the King of Pentacles, you're like, hell yeah.
Now we're gonna look through my favorite suit.
Which one?
Which is the hearts or cups. Sorry, I always call hearts, but they're cups. And we're gonna go through cups now because that's I really like the Three of Swords. I really see why you chose that for the cover.
Oh,
when we're showing it online, it's very powerful.
I love that one too. I want to make that one like a wall art. I'm gonna blow it up and put it on canvas and put it on the wall.
Okay.
All right. So before you do that, I want everybody to come back to me for a moment about what you're learning for psychically for Saturday, because I don't want you guys to get bored with our excitement over a tarot deck. When you get, a lot of people will tell you that you quote, Cheryl, DM me please, and I will get you a phone number because they're in the TikTok shop, but I don't know where to find the orders. I see orders and I have no idea who ordered or, so DM me please. Let's take care of it that way. All right. When you hear people that say that you don't need tools, people will say that over and over and over and over. You don't need a tool. This is a piece of paper, right? It's a cool piece of paper. It's well done piece of paper. But in and of itself, I do think that picking this person to be on this piece of paper is an energetic exchange of information. Why would I say that? Because she is going to trigger something in your memory. She's going to trigger something in your mind. It might be the pregnant belly. It might be the cash in her hand. It might be the cat that's sitting next to her. It might be the kids over there. These trigger things within your brain. And I'm telling you, I have had some of the best readings where it just tells a story. It just tells a story and you keep going and it's telling a story. But do you need cards to be psychic? Absolutely not. We're already psychic, okay? Do you need cards to tell somebody something? You don't. But they're fun, they're tactile, they're collectible, do you need a book to learn? No. But yeah. Okay, let's right after he does this, we're going to do another 3-second word association, so you need a pen and a paper. Go ahead and take a drink of water. Go ahead and show us what you got.
No, I just like touching. I'm very tactile too, right? We're very tactile. So this is, I like that it's not going to just slip out of my hand. Okay. No, I think I've actually found my favorite card in the deck.
Already.
And it's always in cups. I'm telling you. I don't know why, but the 8 of Cups, this is my favorite.
Oh, wow. I love that. Yes.
Like I would blow this up into a print too and put it, this and the death card are my two. Well, I really always look at the death card, and we all have our certain cards that we as readers really are drawn to. Because to me, the death card is something you cannot. There's something about the simplistic performance of death that you cannot it's such a balance before it becomes too cheesy, right?
Yeah,
yours is perfect. I love this. I just love the way that it just speaks to me. And to me, I don't know why this speaks to me. Putting these together speaks to me. Like I'm telling you, every card could be a standalone card. Even the card that I don't really particularly move toward, like I'm like, okay, cool. I still enjoy looking at.
Yeah, right? For me, that's kind of the Judgment card.
Oh, interesting. Like for me, it's the King of Cups. Like it's nice.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah. It does what it's supposed to do. Emotional love. It's not an ugly card. It's just not right. But even the cards that I'm kind of like, oh yeah, I'm not usually drawn to in any deck, I'm still enjoying it.
I love it. So
right.
In the guidebook for this one, you have to understand also in the Old West how many people literally, if your horse broke a leg, you're screwed. You're not getting out of the desert. Now, this guy was a bank robber because you can see that hole in his hat. Yes. And so he was inspired by a bank robber and stuff like that. But death is also the end of a cycle. Death is also people like eating at your bones. So let's say you're reading for someone who lost someone and this comes up. You may interpret that as you understand the family is just like consistently going through this chaotic probate, or they're arguing over money, or they're literally picking the last piece of meat off of this guy's bones. For 9 of Cups, wishes fulfilled. Did they finish the railroad? Did they finish that section of the railroad? Yes. And they're happy about it. But guess what? Now you're out of a job too. So now what? Right? So wishes fulfilled, 9 of Cups is very much, yes, you got what you wanted, but now it's still a lot. You still have to work through it. It's still, you know what I'm saying? Okay.
Okay, I have a question now. And whether you did this on purpose or not, this is just how this speaks to me, which is very interesting. First of all, the next thing I want to talk about is Death and the Moon. The Moon is my other favorite card too. I love that you kept this together because even after death, in the dark of the night, you become a symbol of something new.
So what I was thinking of there is the secrets and picking at stuff, constantly picking at stuff. And so the moon is about secrets. Death is usually about secrets because shit comes out after someone dies. There are mistresses that have shown up to funerals, you know?
Correct. I love that.
So
I've never seen another deck do that.
nice. I love that too.
That's nice.
So
That's
it's about
nice.
and it's about picking at that, right? So if you get that card for somebody and they're constantly picking at a scab, and they're constantly picking at a scab, what do you have to tell them? You have to tell them to get off of this shit. You know, get off your shit. This might be you.
So my next question is, were you purposely trying to make this man this hat, or is this separate? I'm just curious.
I did not. No,
Because this makes a story to me as well, because you have someone who's trying to, because I said that this is a kind of like a portal of shifting of time, right? So what next, right? And the moon is still represented in the time loop. You can either move forward or you will let the moon ensconce you in your decisions, and all things recircle back through death.
You guys see how the cards are already talking to him and telling him a story, and whether or not it was the intended story or not is not even the point. So between the death card and the moon card, yes, there was a callback, but the world card is exactly what he's saying.
Yeah.
You have to step forward. You legitimately have to step into the next portion of your life. So that was the thought process.
You also, if you don't step into the next part, if you don't step into the next part of your life, you're choosing to die, even though you're still alive, and that will keep eating you at night.
Yeah, I love that.
And the cycle won't break until you fix that. Right? It's just wonderfully done, really.
I love it. You'll see on the world card that there's the Old West town on the one side and the city on the other side, which is about, and he's bringing his dog with him. Some things you'll be able to bring into the future. Like, let's say you're moving up from a waitress to a hotel manager. There are certain things and steps that you have to acknowledge and recognize before you can go from a server to a hotel manager, right? And so if we don't take those steps in life, if we don't take the past with us, or if we don't leave the past behind, move into the future, does that make sense? So that was the thought process with the world card.
It's fabulous. It's really nice. I'm telling you, it's nice. Like, also, I want to talk about another thing that's really special. This is more special for me and you, not everybody else, because whatever. Just to make the point, dumbass, is I know MaryAnna on a very personal level, and I can see where certain things, like when I look at this, I know the inspiration for this, where this comes from. I know the story of this inspiration for the dog. I know that how when she was looking at it, she was thinking about how this card and the meaning is also an interpretation of her own life and the symbolism of who that dog was in her life. That's special. And I mean, I get a deeper level, but even if you didn't know this story, which MaryAnna doesn't have to talk about, of course, but even if you know MaryAnna, we all know she loves dogs and she loves her animals and she has a love for her animals, right? This still will speak to you on a personal level, what you know to her when you see the card. But for me, like I said, it's very special because I can see a different version of her through her cards and why those little things were important. But that's just because I'm special and we talk for hours and we never shut up. But I'm just saying, regardless, I can see the personalizations, and I think you've hit multiple things that are also pulling together those personalizations. And then I love this, the Ace of Swords. The lightning is a bluish white gray, which reminds me that things are always behind you.
Oh, I like that. Now, she is a fantastical card. She was not necessarily inspired by someone in the Old West. I had 4 different choices that I was working with for the Ace of Swords, and I couldn't, she had to live. Every time I looked at her, she was like, not every single card has to be realistic. You know what I mean? Because sometimes there's that fantastical, like she would have been that badass woman if she'd have been allowed to. You know what I mean?
The constriction. You know? And then the Two of Swords, the moon. I've never seen a Two of Swords. This is brilliant.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Because this even crossed my mind about the way the Two of Swords and the moon interlap. I've never thought about it till now.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the way they're talking to you so much.
They really do. I mean, this is not generic. Like, you can really see the way everything can fit in I could pull one card. I could probably just turn all the cards over, shuffle like we used to play Uno or whatever, or memorize the cards. I could throw them all with the, side down. I could grab two cards and it will create a story. And that's what's really important.
And I do want to point out to everybody that a lot of these cards, even though they're inspired by stuff that would have happened in the Old West, they're still going from the Rider-Waite symbology, except for the extra cards, of course, right? The extra cards are not going to be in Rider-Waite, obviously, but some of the cards are very hardcore Rider-Waite, and some of them are very hardcore Old West, and then a few of them are hardcore fantastical. So, for example, the High Priestess and the Star. They weren't necessarily inspired by Old West people. They're very Old West Rider-Waite symbolic. But like for example, the Nine of Swords is also going to be very Rider-Waite. But you can't tell me that she doesn't remind you of somebody that's just, her wagon just lost a wheel, or her husband just died and she's not even halfway through the Oregon Trail. You know what I mean? The emotion of having a successful birth in the Old West would have been an overwhelming, yay, so all that emotion and stuff like that. All right.
Okay, this is my last thing, and then we'll do the activity.
Okay.
The shuffle, people, this is nice.
Woo!
That's nice. That has a nice sound to it. It's the little details you don't think about that are there. That, like, because sometimes, let me do another card. Like, for example, I'm going to use these as an example. You see how tough this is to shuffle because of this is a matte finish too, right? But it sticks, right? You see how hard that is to, like, really get it. I'm good at this, but, like, it's hard to really, like, I have to push. This was butter.
Yeah, and right away. Like you've been shuffling that other deck forever, however long.
I've had this deck for almost 3-4 years, and I still don't pick it up because it's just so, like, you guys, I'm really pushing. You see my finger? I'm really pushing to try to separate. Butter. I mean, you see, like, you can see how this is very hard to move. This is excellent. I'm telling you, you guys, until you put it in your hands, I mean, it's very nice to look at online, but it doesn't do the full justice of the experience when you have it in your hand. I'll be honest.
I love that. Well, and that's why I had several prototypes. So people want to kind of downplay AI. It is AI assisted, obviously. People want to downplay that, but the AI didn't wake up one day and shit it out of the computer. You know what I mean? This is a process. I've been doing this. I think it's been going on 2 years from idea to today,
Longer. It's been longer than that.
Has it? Yeah. Well, I mean, the idea has been in my head for a very long time. There is a tarot deck of card called Hoodoo, if I remember right.
I know. I've seen it. My friend has it.
That was the first inspiration for putting real people. So I wanted to do an Old West deck, period. But when I saw the Hoodoo deck, and I bought the Hoodoo deck, and I was using the Hoodoo deck, she has real people. Like, they have one identity in her deck. Mine are inspired by, because
I like the inspired better.
But also that way it'll talk to you like, okay, yes, this is inspired by, but this is what I see, right? So you don't have to go by the inspired by. That's just extra info. Anyway, I had it in my mind, and I had reached out to artists, and I had anywhere from like $6,500 to like $20,000 for 78 cards. And if you think about this, this is 89 cards plus an info card, that because they're numbered. So anyways, that's enough salesmanship. So you have your pen, you have your paper. I want you, and I'm going to go through this very, very quickly. So what you have to do is write down the first thing that happens. It's word association again. I don't do tarot, but maybe I do. Great salesmanship. There you go. Thank you. I fucking love it. I would not be a medium if I had not learned tarot. I started with tarot. I thought that there were 6 mediums in the world, and I thought they were all celebrities. I had no idea you could learn this. There's an artist on Threads using Tarot Witch community members as inspiration. Oh, I love that. I love that.
I saw that one day. I saw it.
I will say, let me find it really fast. Find the Queen of Cups really fast. Let's see.
Well, I already shuffled, so you might find it faster.
Oh.
While you're doing that, I want to talk about this too. People, I know she has 2 decks, by the way. She has the Western deck and she has the biker deck themed one. The reason why I chose this one versus the biker, because I could have got both, obviously. Both are great. They both look fabulous. Well done, right? The reason why I was this, because I'm a historical person. I like the history, and I like that she inspired off of people. I'm very pulled to the West. Like, I'm not like a cowboy person. I'm not like a rodeo girl. I don't do that kind of shit. I mean, I'll sleep with them, but I won't do any of that. But I do like the history of the West, and that's why I picked the West, because historically there's more history that pulls me in. I'm not saying you shouldn't get the biker one too, people. I just don't have any connections to biker. Like, it's interesting, but something about this just spoke to me. I mean, I've slept with a lot of bikers, but that's my only where I dip my toe into a pool, you know. But like, I've went to places in the West. Like, I've been to places in Arizona. I have been to some of the places where I live in California. I'm 3 hours away from Gold Rush County. So like, seeing this reminds me of places that I've been in my life. So being also like in that dynamic, that's what really pulled me in too. Like, if I grew up in like a biker world, if I was a biker kid and I grew up with like MaryAnna and other people I know, then yeah, the biker thing is great too. But this is why I chose the Western versus the other one. Not that people really cared, but it has a lot of, like, I could pull one of these cards and then be like, I was this cowboy at a cemetery like this because I've been to an abandoned cemetery 2 hours away from my house. Yeah. When I used to go hiking in the Sierras and where Gold Rush was. I can see myself in these experiences.
Yeah, Punchbug was saying past lives too, absolutely.
Yeah.
And like, for example, this was an actual event that happened in the Old West. It was a meteor shower. It's in the guidebook. I would have to open it up to expand on that. And I am going to do this is going to take a long time, but I'm going to tell everybody what each card was like inspired by. And some cards don't really have inspiration, like the star card. She's the star card. You know what I mean? But like, this was inspired by an actual event. So there's no rodeo in this particular deck. So this is all just Old West. But this card was actually inspired by Candy and Crystal and the coastal native First Nations. So I grew up in California. I grew up along about 15 minutes from Morro Bay, California. And so I've been aware of coastal native tribes forever, for my whole life, right? And so this was inspired, but Candy and Crystal had been in a reading online on TikTok, and I was reading someone that had passed from the same reservation they had both been associated with, I believe lived at. And whoever I was reading, the other person in the comments was like, wait a minute, I know that person. They knew each other. They got to know each other, and they had mutual friends. So they're both native. They're both, I would love to be able to remember what kind of native, but my memory doesn't work like that. Now, I think we all know that. So what we're gonna do, you're gonna write down the first thing. We're gonna do some more word association. Again, why would we do this if we've already done this? Number one, repetition. 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 All this is learning the basics and then doing it. Okay. All right, you guys, you ready? So I'm just going to do like 10, right? All right. You're going to write it down. I'm going to give you 3 seconds in between words. 3 seconds. Ready? Water. Red. All right. I'll give you 5 seconds. Hospital.
Am I supposed to be doing this?
Horse. You don't have to. Key. September. Kitchen. Smoke. Yellow. Train. All right, the first thing you got is very likely what spirit is going to work with. Can I get some people to put in let's see, what did everybody get for September? What did everybody get for September? Go ahead and put it in the comments. Fall, my birthday, love, interesting, happy, birthday, dad, okay, color blue, oh, interesting, daughter's birthday, okay, Oh, a scythe, like to cut the wheat, like the old-fashioned way, Dale, from the pioneer days? Harvest. I know what you're getting, Dale. Harvest. I got you. Yes. Okay. Very cool. So why would you play this game with yourself? And why would you, like, let's say you're listening to YouTube and, you're just listening to something, pick out every fifth word and write it down. Like, breaking news, write down what you get from breaking news. A chicken crossed the street, write down what you get for chicken, right? Pick out a word. It's a build dictionary, 100% Heather. You're building your dictionary, but you're also training your brain to trust the information that you immediately get. This is the hardest thing that you will probably ever do. Well, not ever. So you can learn translation from reading. Absolutely, Punchbug. Exactly. You're building your ability to trust what you first get, because the first thing you get is often, I would say 95% the right information. Every now and then you will get something right away and it won't be right. And that's when you have to feel the no's. That's when you have to feel the mistakes. I've gotten something before, or I've shuffled and laid cards down and I've felt that's not right. So I've reshuffled or I've re-gone back. And you have to know that feeling, right? So that is the point of word association. That is the point of writing down what you first get. That is the point of 3 to 5 seconds. Because you'll see people, and you see it all the time on this app, and they're like staring off and they're like, well, hold on. And you're like, the fuck are you doing? 3 to 5 seconds, babe. 3 to 5 fucking seconds. Let's go. And if the information isn't that fast, you're not developed. And you shouldn't be doing readings. Right? Because it is a very quick response thing. Sometimes spirit will give you the answer before you finish the question. And now you're thinking that can't be right. It came too fast. Nope. It didn't come too fast. And you have to trust how fast the information comes in order to move to the next step. And that's why psychic ability is so important before you become a medium. But even if you're going backwards, it's still so important to learn it, in my opinion, because you learn to trust your mediumship even more. It's fast. And if it's not fast, something's fucking broken.
Okay.
Maybe
Wrap
you're not.
this up so we can pull cards. Hurry up. Wrap it up.
Hold
Hurry
on.
up.
All right.
So you guys, I'm ready to use these. Let's go. I'm like, hurry up, talk less.
All right.
So why I'm freaking out, everybody? Let's give people context. Welcome, people. The reason why I'm freaking out about why I wanted to do cards together is because we were purposely trying to get this deck to my place by Saturday so we could show the way psychic interpretation happens when using the same deck.
That's right. Yeah.
That's right. So I want to do a couple questions just to demonstrate this when you're ready. All right.
So what we'll say for next Saturday, because I really like that idea too. So what we'll say for next, and I forgot about it, of course. So next Saturday, and don't let me forget, Matan. Next Saturday, I want to talk about the differences between receiving and constructing information. So what do I mean by that? So
you can do that first. Do that because that's part of the card thing. So go ahead.
Okay, well, basically the word association and the fact that I expect you to give me your first fucking answer. First answer. I don't want you to sit there and create something that spirit didn't give you, okay? So what does that mean? If I say sunflower, the first thing that comes to my mind is a complete field of sunflowers. But if I'm starting to construct an answer because I don't think that's right, that can't be right. I start constructing, I start thinking, I start overthinking. Suddenly I'm not giving what spirit gave me. I am creating a different answer than what I received. Maybe I start thinking, Kaza said, I think the faster it comes and you don't question. Exactly. You don't construct a different answer, right? So there's receiving and then suddenly you're constructing. So I received sunflower, but I don't think it's right. That can't possibly be right. How could that be right for the question that was asked? But I don't give the information to test the validity. I start constructing something else. First answer, period. Even if it's the dumbest fucking thing you've ever said in your life. Because if it's wrong, you get another piece of information for your toolbox. You get to feel what being wrong feels like. And when I say this stuff is so subtle, like sometimes it is literally just wrong. That's all spirit gives you. Like you're like, that was it? Like, could you show me again? They're like, no. You should have caught it the first time. Because first answer, okay? Spirit team, the universe, they're not, they are sitting up there to help you. But I mean, they're not going to keep giving you the same thing if you just keep not trusting it, okay? It's kind of like when God, people were like, I'm waiting for God to save me. And then there was like, I don't know, a man on a corner with a rope. And he's like, no, God's going to save me. And then there was, I don't know, a guy in a kayak. And he's like, no, God's going to save me. And then he drowns and he gets to heaven. And he's like, why didn't you save me? He's like, Jesus, I sent you a rope and a kayak and blah, blah, blah. I'm torturing that story, but you get the point, okay?
Also, a more advanced version, advanced because it's not that advanced, of the word association. People who have cards, tarot cards, oracle cards, reach out to MaryAnna to get these cards. Take a card every day, pull the card, and you can do this before I did. I put like a little sticky note over it that I can take off and it doesn't affect the card. Pull a card every day without seeing what it is, and the first reaction you have to that card. Feel how it feels to have that immediate reaction. So once you start working on so that in tandem or parallel, or the term I'm supposed to be using there, if you're doing the word association every day and then you start to do it with the cards every day, you might start feeling a connection. Be like, oh, well, whenever I see, red, I think of the Two of Swords, or what, because entrapment, it builds together side by side. So also, if you want to have a fun way of doing that.
The card, do you need to know the definition of every card? You should at least have a working knowledge of the 78 cards from Rider-Waite. That is my personal opinion. I think if you're reading tarot and you pull the World card and you say that you're going to have a baby, that's so far completely away from the Rider-Waite definition of the World card that you see other tarot readers are going to be like, the fuck did they just get that? But so the tower has a meaning, but the cards are going to start. This was inspired by a real train wreck down south of Pueblo. The cards are going to start talking to you. For example, this card has never been wrong. Well, I wouldn't say never been wrong for me, but as soon as I started reading the Emperor, I was in the standard Rider-Waite deck. He came through as a narcissist to me immediately. Then I used the Light Seers for a long time. I pretty much went Rider-Waite, Light Seers. I've had some other decks in there, and now I have my own deck. He always has indicated the narcissist for me, but you have to let that talk to you. So as long as, let's say you go with the standard definition of the Emperor, it's still somebody who's controlling, experienced, kind of out for themselves. There's some positive points to the Emperor, not really in my deck, but this is also how a different reader can inspire another reader. For example, I never really had a definition for the Emperor. I always thought it was like, there's some guy, he's, I was kind of doing the like generic way of like, there's a man sitting there, he's kind of, in your face. There is some kind of, structure there, like, that kind of oomph kind of feeling. But it wasn't until I saw MaryAnna read that I then felt very pulled personally to her interpretation of the Emperor, and I've used it ever since. Is that the generic definition by the Rider-Waite system? Kind of, but I like the way MaryAnna took it to the next level, and I've used it ever since. If I see the Emperor, I have a certain thing that I feel about it, and I've noticed that it also fits within every single card that I've used, whether it's MaryAnna's cards now, my other cards, and I also, like MaryAnna, had a very similar step up into, I did the Rider-Waite, and then from the Rider-Waite, I went into these cards, which are the, I forget the name of them, but whatever, and then from this deck, I went into the Light Seers deck. I reversed it, and I felt the same thing about the Emperor in every single one. And don't get me wrong, because I still love my Light Seers deck. Don't think that I don't, because we can love more than one deck of cards. You know what I mean? So here's what we're going to do, everybody. We're going to go into a little tarot-y type thing. We need some questions. What about readers that use any pack with no idea of the cards? Yeah, I think they're lazy asses. So I think that if you can't at least, for example, strength. I mean, it's kind of self-explanatory, right? but there is a Rider-Waite definition. Okay, obviously you have to be strong. Obviously there's an infinity symbol on there. There's the fact that she is basically domesticating a wild animal. So the world. So
can you grab you have the strength card there. Can you grab the 5 of swords if you have it, or I'll try to find it. Hold on. Because I want to make a really good point that you just said about the I got it. Okay, I got it. Okay. So strength, right? Strength has a meaning to it. It has has a basic meaning that the Rider-Waite provides, right? Then you have the 5 of swords. The 5 of swords is about confrontation, it's about, entanglement, whatever. I'm just giving a very generic way. Just go with me here, people. However, if I just pull the strength card, I think strength is about, strength. Just go with me here, I promise. But then if I pull these cards together, this interpretation for me changes, because in times of conflict, sometimes being strong is about finding peace in walking away of the conflict rather than fighting through the strength of fighting the conflict to win. So you need to know the minor definitions of everything, roughly, not perfectly, but roughly, because when they come together, the story can be different.
Absolutely. I love that.
And that's why it's so important. The strength can be the strength on its own, but the strength with a card that is not like the strength is about empowerment, unification, emboldenment, whatever. But do you see how it becomes a little different when you have a card that's actually kind of by itself? The 5 of swords by itself is not like the strength card. It's a very opposite in the kind of experience that you get. But when you put 2 cards together that can be kind of opposite in a way, it creates a very important narrative.
And that's I was thinking about doing an advanced tarot class where we can definitely talk about card combinations. We can talk about spreads. So I don't know if you guys can see this too well without giving up all my stuff. This is what the cheat sheet is going to look like. What's that?
Nothing. Go. I just love how you have it upside down. Oh no, it's in reversal with TikTok.
Yeah, it's like a funky thing. Anyway, that's what the cheat sheet is going to look like, and I'm going to make that an interactive PDF. I'm just finishing that up. So, for example, the Hierophant, the traditional Rider-Waite. Okay, hold on. Let me read this question. God damn it!
I got it. Kaza, is you talking about Kazas? And isn't it about the position of the card, like the set reading structure? I was going to answer that after you finish that comment, so we can get into that after if you want.
Well, we'll just do it now, and then I'll go back to the cheat sheet.
So to me, this is very interesting. So I have this is my answer to this. To me, how do I explain this? In the American way, yes, as in like, if you grew up in America, you read from left to right. So that's how I interpret the cards, left to right. However, in a country that doesn't read left to right, one of my friends who grew up in a country who reads cards, who reads from right to left, she reads right to left.
Oh, okay.
And it's interesting how that in a kind of social way kind of leads to the way you interpret cards. Do I think there needs to be a way in the structure of how you read? Not really. I think you could have 3 rows and read up, down, left, right, back and forth. My personal style is left to right, but I've done it where I've had if I pull 12 cards, I can have one section of cards that's in a circle left to right. I can have another card that's in the shape of a for all intended purposes, a peen, and read it left to right. It doesn't really matter. It's about the way and this is where your discernment is so important, because your discernment is what guides you through the interpretation, through the back and forth with the sitter, why it matters. To me, it doesn't matter. Other people might have their own thought process about that. I personally don't think it matters, because I've pulled 3 cards like MaryAnna has right now, and I've looked at it and been like, well, left to right, I don't really get that. That doesn't resonate with me in my discernment. So I'm going to put the one on the right that she has, the ace card, in the middle. Oh, that feels like it makes sense to the story for me.
He's feeling the energy of the situation when he changes the cards around. A lot of times you will take a tarot class and they will say past, present, and future, which is what I thought of, Kaza, when we read your question. Does it matter if the card is always in a set reading structure? Very often that's how you start. So This is the past, this is the present, and this is the future. Now, very often, some people will throw down 3 cards, some people will throw down 5 cards. You end up doing what you feel, right? So my baseline is always basically 3 cards and then the shadow card. I used to do spreads, and I used to know this one represents this, and every now and then I still will. We talked last week about the, family health, money. I don't remember. I have it on my cheat sheet though. I went ahead and put it on the cheat sheet. I put down 5 cards. I did home. So card number 1 is home, 2 is health, 3 is finances, 4 is family, and then the middle card was love. And so on the left, you have home and finances, which is more analytical. And on the right, you have health and family, which is more emotional, right? And then in the middle, you have love, because that's what ties your life together. So that's a spread, okay? So you may start that way, and then you may advance to where, oh, I know what this means. Oh, I know what this means. And then, so I do 3 cards and then like the shadow card. Sometimes I'll pull more. Sometimes if there's a question between a job, I'll say, pick job 1 and job 2. And then I'll put 2 or 3 cards on job 1, 2 or 3 cards on job 2. You will get to a point where you just know what to do for that particular situation or that particular card.
Another 2 things about this. When we went back to the initial thing about pulling, doing your word association, building your dictionary, at the beginning, I would pull 1 card a day. That was it. I was like, 1 card, okay, if this is how I feel about it, this is my reaction to it, whatever. Then I was like, you know what, screw it. I'm going to pull 2 cards a day. Then I pulled 2 cards a day. After a while, I went, all right, let's pull a 3rd. I never did past, present, future in my 3 cards. I just said, these are the 3 cards that fell out. I'm going to pull these and see how I feel about it. That's how you build that as well. The other thing that you said that now just went out of my head, which I hate when that happens. Oh, what was it? Cards, discernment. Oh, spreads. I've even taken a whole deck and put the whole deck out in front of me, like on a giant table, and I felt how it went together. I mean, that's insanity. But again, it's a muscle. You build it, right? Like MaryAnna said, it is a muscle. You can, and you will be wrong. Discernment. This is it. You will make mistakes. When you're learning how to pull cards and like, let's say, blah, 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 pull cards, you can be wrong, again, just like your intuition, in the way you place the cards. You can be like, I don't think this feels right. I was wrong about this. I'm going to reshuffle this whole thing, and we're going to start back from square one with maybe just 2 cards. I've been in readings where I'll pull cards, and I'll pull out 15 cards, and I'll look at it, and I'm like, this is weird. This, like, I'll try to move them around to see where my discernment says or my intuition tells me this makes more sense, and I can't do it. And I go, I'm going to reshuffle really quick, and I end up just pulling 2 cards, and that's what hits the most.
Also, sometimes we get distracted because we're just people, right? So,
and it's fun to throw cards. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I'm so excited in the reading, but that's part of like, this maybe, that, whatever. That's a whole thing too.
Yeah. So if we get distracted, because a lot of times I want to be thinking about the question as I'm shuffling. Now you'll see a lot of people, they're like, give me the best and the highest good, and they do all this stuff. In my opinion, that what you need to be doing, you don't need to cut 3 times. You don't need to blow on it. Every now and then I will. I'll just kind of clear the energy, and I tell my deck that it's going to get a quick blow job, and then, or you can knock on it to kind of clear the energy. I used to do that. You don't necessarily have to do any of these things every time. You just feel it. So we're going to go ahead and both pull. We have a question from Cheryl. It says, am I moving correct? Let's make sure, Cheryl, are you still here? Punch bug. That's funny. Yeah, you guys don't have to give your cars blowjobs, but I'm just kidding. Is Cheryl still here? Just before. Okay, Cheryl's still here. All right. So let's see. She is saying, am I moving correctly for my spiritual journey, or where should I advance if you're doing questions? Oh, okay. Where should you advance?
Where should she advance is the question. Journey? The other part was if we did it generally. Okay, that's another question. Do you want me to pull in a general sense, or do you want me to pull like a question in the same? Let's do question first.
Let's do question. So we're just gonna pick. We're gonna pick the first question. Am I moving correctly for my spiritual journey? So what happens a lot of times is the cards will tell us how you can just best show up for that question, if that makes sense. So we'll both pull.
You know what I really wish I had right now was one of those cameras where it's from above, so I could switch and show.
I know.
On the bottom. Wait, let me figure something out.
I know. You guys will just have. I mean, you can see us shuffling. We get nothing from. We'll pick up the cards and show you what we got. Okay. Am I moving correctly for my spiritual journey? This is for Cheryl. I'm personally going to lay down 3 cards with a shadow card.
Okay, I have it. You guys can kind of see this. I got it.
Oh, nice.
I'm showing, right? So this one was the one that popped out, and these are the two that I felt guided to pull. I'm really showing the mechanics here. Work with me, people. Okay. Let me see. Let me see if I can do this. You're gonna have to see my thighs. I'm sorry, people. Just suck it up. I'm wearing pants. TikTok, calm down. We'll get real and honest in our teaching.
I
All
know.
right.
Okay.
Okay. Go. Do you want to go first?
Well, basically, the question again, am I moving correctly for my spiritual journey? A lot of times, Cheryl, you're too afraid of getting hurt to really take the risks that you need to take, okay? So you end up kind of the Nine of Wands is very much about being self-protective to the point that you don't emotionally venture as far as you need to go, right? You can just imagine if some old boy walked up to her with a bouquet of flowers, he's probably going to get punched in the face, right? She's been hurt and she's tired of hell. She's still hurt. And so you need to kind of release how closely you hold your emotions. Then you are afraid of judgment and you will be judged in this space, right? So when you say, am I moving correctly for my spiritual journey? You don't have to tell everybody everything. You don't have to, nobody deserves to know why you're doing the things you're doing as long as you know why you're doing the things you're doing. I remember when I put that I'm a medium on my Facebook page for people that have known me since high school to see, it was very fearful of judgment. So one, you're already fearful. Then you get the judgment card. Interestingly enough, then I get the devil for you. So the devil is very much about addictions. It's almost as if you're afraid to tell people what you really see. Like you're seeing some of the darker part. No way. You're seeing some of the darker parts of people. How are you going to give them that information, right? You're not. I'm not sure if afraid is the right word. You're a very caring person who doesn't want to sit up here and say, "Stop eating so many cookies. You're fat." Okay? Right? You don't necessarily want to give people that kind of info. And then your shadow card is go back to the foundation. Go back to the foundation of what you've learned. Go back to the foundation. Fours are very much about foundations. Wands are very much about being traditional. You're so traditional that this space, I think you're holding yourself back. All right. What do you got, Matan?
I'm so glad we got the same card because this is going to show how interpretation is different in the same deck. This is your shadow card. That's for me. I pulled the devil shadow card, right? For me, when I pull the shadow card, this is such a weird thing to do. Whatever. When I pull the shadow card as the devil, that means that you are entrapped in restricted, right, constraints, constructions of what you think spiritual should look like, what your spiritual journey should be looking like, what advancement should be looking like. I think you're letting other interpretations of other people externally control the way you view your spiritual journey. You're getting constricted by others, right? Same card, different interpretation. Then I have the Ace of Swords. No, Wands. Yeah, Wands. Then I have this is stupid. I could just go like this. Then I have the Ace of Wands. And I'm reading left to right, right? Shadow, left to right for me in this one. The Ace of Wands. The Ace of Wands for me is about you have lost the spark. You have lost the magic. You're getting too caught up in the restraints of this is how something should be. You're getting, whatever. You're getting caught up in this. You need to go back to the power, the magic, the initial spark that made you drawn to doing this work in the first place. Kind of similar to what MaryAnna said. You need to go back to the basics. You need to go back to what excites you. In that process, I have the moon. You need to start thinking about what now is coming up that you're not addressing, which has led you to entanglement rather than excitement, rather than inspiration, right? But I do think it will come back. You're kind of in the next phase of your shadow work, which is a term that gets thrown around a lot. But because of that, you go back to the basic that brings you success, that takes you away from the environment that is restricting you. So yes, but you have to go back and do the work. But this is why I did it left to right. And did you see the way I moved that when I felt guided to move that? That's an example of discernment moving me from one card to another. So I just want to show that as an example. Now we can get off my legs.
But interesting that his overall message was your shadow card on my side. And interesting that we got literally the same card. So let me go to the cheat sheet really fast. And we're gonna, okay, it doesn't wanna, I have so many windows open that my computer's like, listen, bitch.
Mine does that too. I have tons and it freezes.
Well, and I just opened too much. Okay, so, it was the devil. So in the cheat sheet, right, in upright, because we personally both just do uprights. I think the story gets to you in uprights. Anybody that tells you that you have to read reversals, again, I don't think they're developed. I don't think they've really learned what they need to learn, because you will get the story you need to get with uprights. However, in the cheat sheet, because some people enjoy reversals, and I'm not going to shit on them either, so I have upright and reversals. So the devil in the upright: attachment, temptation, addiction, materialism, shame, unhealthy bonds, which is everything Matan basically just said. And then I have a kind of a one-line little thing for each card. The saloon door swings both ways, but first admit you're inside. So it's kind of one of those little play on words, and you guys don't have to. But everything he basically just said was about foundation, going back to the basics, realizing that you don't necessarily have to do this. If it makes you uncomfortable to tell people the shadow side of themselves, it might not be for you. It might not be for you. It might just be for you personally, you know what I mean? But it might not be for you to read for other people, if that makes sense.
I also want to talk about reversals for a second while you find the next part. Is I like not using reversals, so because when a reversal does pop out, it grabs my attention. Just like my shadow card. If I have a shadow card and a reversal pops out, you better believe I'm going to take a look at those first before I look at the way I pulled other cards in normal way. Upright, thank you, the word. You got my point.
Yeah. So for example, for the devil, if you do read reversals, again, because some people enjoy reversals, it's release, awareness, breaking chains, reclaiming power, recovery. The lock may already be open. You can walk out. That's kind of exactly what Matan already said. So if you're tapping into the energy of the situation, you don't necessarily need to have reversals. Now, again, if you enjoy it, fucking enjoy it. And then I have like this little thing that says quick read. And it says, you cannot free yourself from what you keep pretending is harmless, which is kind of what we said for the Nine of Wands, right? So, and I'm still working on this. So I still have to, I'm still working on it.
I love that smell of new cards, or like a new book.
Oh, I know. I'm really stressed out right now because my inspired by isn't on here. I'm really stressed out right now because I was almost through the swords.
Like it didn't save?
Oh, I know what I did. Oh, okay. I did the expansion cards first.
Correct.
I was really stressing the fuck out. So,
and then you guys wonder why I'm so dramatic. Look at my teacher.
Shut up. So on the expansion cards, right? Okay. So for example, the outlaw. So let's find the outlaw really fast, and we'll talk about that.
You're gonna get there faster than me.
No, I doubt it. I got the same card, so I know. I am actually gonna get there faster than you because I separated them already. Dun, dun, dun. Okay.
You're so smart. Must be nice.
It's still the last fucking card. All right. So these are expansion cards. Some people will do this with a tarot deck. This is something that people have been doing with tarot decks for a very long time. I did not invent it. A lot of times they're called artist cards. Because this is AI assisted, I don't want to pretend that I am some sort of an artist, although I do think my vision of it is artistic. But anyways, these are extra cards. Some people call them artist cards. I'm calling them expansion cards just because there's take them out, leave them in. If you want to expand the deck like a table. Remember when it's poker time and they would expand the table. So the outlaw, I'm going to read you. So upright is radical independence, survival instinct, defiance, self-rule, resourcefulness, living outside convention, refusing to be controlled. And then this is the one I've been telling you guys since it started. A feral human with no interest in becoming house trained. So if this was let's say this came up in a love reading, and it's the first card you lay down. Is this my forever guy? No. No, this is not your forever dude. Now, this was inspired by Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid. I think everybody could probably get that. The most famous members of the Wild Bunch. Oh, that scared me. Thank you. They were the most famous members of the Wild Bunch. Cassidy was known for his charm, his strategic mind, his generosity, and his preference for avoiding unnecessary violence, while Sundance earned his name after being jailed for horse theft and returned to the outlaw trail after his release. Together they robbed banks and trains, relied on remote hideouts, fled across borders, and became nearly impossible to separate from their own legend. They represent the outlaw as both survivor and self-made fugitive, loyal to their own code, unwilling to live by anyone else's rules, and considerably easier to chase than to catch. Does that sound like somebody you're going to tie down into marriage? Let's go with no. So, again, you can use the expansion cards. You don't need to use the expansion cards. Maybe this says something completely different to you. Then it's okay, because these are almost kind of like an oracle-y extra cards, right? The Witness, which Matan was saying he likes quite a bit. So this was inspired by artist George Catlin and artist Grace Carpenter Hudson. And then I have links in the cheat sheet. So if you wanted to go read more about these Old West figures, you can just link to a reliable source of information. George Catlin traveled extensively through the West during the 1830s and created hundreds of paintings documenting Native people and lifeways. And Grace Carpenter Hudson was a California artist known for hundreds of portraits of Pomo people whom she had known since childhood. Their work preserved an enormous visual record while also reminding us that every witness records a story through their own perspective. So Upright, he's about observation, he's about documentation, he's about advocacy, truth-telling, preservation, bearing witness, seeing sometimes what other people overlook. So if you were to get this in talking about your spiritual journey, you are often seeing things that often someone else overlooks. So it's going to talk to you in your own way. And then the little one-liner is, some truths survive only because somebody stayed long enough to record them. Right? So a lot of times you hear a lot of people saying, well, it's the victor that writes history. It is. So what are you not seeing? What are you not seeing that was probably also a part of this experience? So enough about that. If you're interested in the deck, please DM me. I'm going to have to probably unhook that SHOP because I can't find the information. I don't know if I'm just I don't know if I'm just stupid. I don't know if I'm just stupid or I like that word. That is such an 80s word.
It's a Gen X. I know, it's a Gen X term.
Listen, we grew up with that word. Okay, now I am stressed because my other expansion cards aren't there. There better be another fucking... I hope that this is... I've just missed... I sure hope there's another cheat sheet on here.
Okay, so we're going to go. MaryAnna's going to have a breakdown.
No,
enjoy that. See you next week. Thank you everybody so much for coming. Oh, so cute, Lindsay. Thank you. Love y'all. Anything else before you freak out?
No.
Because I don't want to have to deal with the freak out on live. You probably have it saved somewhere else. To be fair, you do save things in like 12 different locations.
I'm fucking stressed.
Well, be stressed. Let me know if you need anything.
Okay.
Bye, y'all. Thank you so much. See you next week. Whatever we'll do next week, we'll figure it out when we get there.
Alrighty. Bye, everybody.
Bye, y'all.